How do you guys find that deal? What was the condition when you bought it, and how much did you have to put into it?
Existing property, they kind of had a knock on their doors, like a mom and pop that owned it. But we were like, whoa, this property alone has like 5 different Airbnb style homes on there and then a bunch of hotel style rooms. We can have 11 listings on Airbnb at one place.
So we bought it for 1.5.
I've seen the cabins and they look super nice. Like, how much do you guys have to put into it?
Yes, bottom line, we're about $1 million. Within 11 months, so raised for 3.9 as is, with a stabilized value of 4.6, and we're close to 60% occupancy.
All right, so we're here with Tim and Isaac, the owners of the Pine Tree Hotel, and I'm very excited to bring an episode here. We're going to be talking strategy. We're going to be talking about their boutique hotel and a really cool project they got going up in the mountains. So how are you guys doing today?
Pretty stoked, man.
Yeah, doing good. Thanks for having us on. Excited to be in Palm Springs. Good weather for January to be here.
Yeah.
It's 70 degrees
Definitely
today.
could be worse. It's cool.
Why don't we get started with how you guys got into Airbnb? I know you guys are Airbnb operators and now you're actually hotel operators. So why don't we start with that?
Isaac, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, let's kick it off. So Tim and I, we grew up playing soccer together since we were 12. And it's been a fun 5 years. So over the last 5 years, we actually in Palm Springs, where we are today, bought my first short-term, mid-term rental.
How long ago was that?
2020, like right when COVID hit. So March 2020.
Yeah.
First property ever purchased. Tim actually owned a property separately, not a short-term, a little bit before that. And then since the last 5 years, we grew. I think we each individually have done about 15 projects and 7 or 8 together.
Airbnbs though.
Airbnbs leading into the commercial space of the boutique hotel.
I think so I had done a few single family homes and like multifamily syndication, like investment, because we both had decent day jobs in sales. And that kind of transitioned to, okay, well, let's invest in real estate. And I think both of us kind of had this aha moment, because he got his first one in 2020. I got my first one in 2020 as well. And the first booking was like, oh my God, like we made our mortgage on a weekend type deal. And it was like, there's something here. And that's kind of what triggered okay, we need to do more of this. We need to figure out how we scale. Grew really quickly.
But you guys still had a full-time job at that point. So during COVID, or right when COVID hit, you guys were still full employed at that moment.
Yeah, so we were both full-time. We both worked remote in tech. So we were both sales managers and we were able to travel. So I didn't realize that I had any type of eye for like design or anything. And the first place I bought was pretty turnkey. But over the next few projects, it was kind of like I'm on Pinterest, I'm looking around, and all the design we do over the last 5 years has all been in-house.
So you're the designer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So everything's been in-house as of now, but it kind of was, we learned as we went, and we definitely had some fun learnings and some things that we'd probably change over the years, but it's been a good fun ride.
So how long after you started with your first property were you guys able to quit your 9 to 5?
It was a boutique hotel. I think that was the
Pine Tree.
That was the jumping off point to where we had we had properties that we owned, operated, and managed. Then we expanded because other people were saying, hey, we would like you to manage ours. So then we're bringing that on. That was a lot easier to kind of quick cash flow. You have the automations and you're able to scale that brand up. And then when we did the boutique hotel, that's where you start seeing the opportunity where, okay, the revenue on this is like pretty significant. And that's when we
So let's get into that.
Yeah.
How long ago was this first deal, the Pine Tree? When did you guys acquire that, and why did you decide to shift from Airbnbs into commercial assets?
So funny enough, I think like now we talk about it pretty openly and like it kind of makes sense now because we're in these groups and things like that. But we were kind of knocking on this idea a few years into Airbnb. It's like, this doesn't, we want to throw a pickleball court in. We want to throw like a nice pool. We want to have an area where it can be more than just like a group, right? Because I think that's what we all experience challenges with. You have this awesome property in Scottsdale. The pool goes down or like a hot tub goes down, it's cooked, your profit's going to get hit there. Whereas if you scale up a little bit and you have multiple units, you have a little bit more efficiency with the teams that are there. there's just more you can do, and the income supports that. So we were looking for something a little bit larger that kind of fit into.
So you wanted scale.
Scale.
We wanted
exactly.
scale, but at the same time, so we had this cabin in Blue Ridge, Georgia that is a new construction, 2-bed, 2-bath with a loft. So it's luxury, amazing view, and it only hosts 6 people. It was, a property, we bought it for $550. We took it over to new construction, and then it was pushing like 120-ish a year.
Yeah.
But that market, there's all these huge homes that are like 14 people, 13 people, 20 people. That 7th bedroom or 6th bedroom, they just put 10 people in one room. So we were like, wow, there's a crazy need for like luxury spaces that are smaller and individual. And so whether it's a family reunion, you're with your friends, like we're both 30 now, and I'll get into my 30th birthday that was there, but this setup is more or less, it's 6 buildings with 11 units. Every unit either has its own full kitchen or like a kitchenette.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're having a big reunion, you can be like, hey guys, let's meet up for dinner at 7 o'clock. You can go, you can take a nap, you can have your own space versus being in one big area together.
Yep.
So we've seen like most of our friends, most of our family, they're actually like, wow, after being at the Pine Tree Hotel, they're like, dang, I actually feel rejuvenated even though we were doing X all day or doing Y all day, doing pickleball. I didn't have to participate in everything. I could go hang out by the pool, I could play pickleball, I could sauna and cold plunge, or I can not participate in any of that.
Well, I love that because you guys took the whole wellness aspect and you try to have as many amenities as possible. We were doing that in Florida. Like we were buying these big 6-bedroom houses with the pool, with the lake. We would add a fake beach.
Yeah.
The garage we would turn into a game room.
Yep.
Add amenities, add an indoor sauna, outdoor movie theater. Like we would do everything, mini golf and everything. Like that's what would crush it. But the problem with residential is you can't really force appreciation.
Yeah.
You don't have the economies of scale. So you have one property, you need to keep buying all these assets next to it for it to even make sense for you to have a property manager. So you're actually like buying a job. If you have one deal, you buy a job. So I love how you guys did the whole wellness aspect. Getting into the numbers a little bit, like how do you guys find that deal?
Yeah.
What was the acquisition price? What was the condition when you bought it, and how much did you have to put into it?
Yeah, let's dive into that. One thing I wanted to add to the last statement was, so this property is considered commercial, and Idlewild, actually, there's been so many regulations in California. Palm Springs is super strict.
On Airbnbs, right?
Airbnbs.
Yeah.
So Idlewild, when we were looking at this area, we knew that they were capped on short-term rentals. So we were like, whoa, like this existing property, you kind of had to knock on their doors, like a mom and pop that owned it, or your grandparents that were owning it, and you had to knock on their door to check in. Like that, it was super old-fashioned. But we were like, whoa, this property alone has like 5 different Airbnb style homes on there and then a bunch of hotel style rooms. We can have 11 listings on Airbnb at one place. So it was like, that was like
They weren't listed on Airbnb.
They weren't listed on
Their website was.
So how do you guys even find this deal? Was it on market? Was it broker?
Yep, it was on LoopNet and Zillow actually.
Really?
Yep.
You guys actually found a deal on market?
We were just talking about this because I was at his house because we walked properties in Palms. We knew this was going to happen because I think originally if we could have done it the way that we wanted, it would have been like these new construction dope cabins in Blue Ridge, Georgia.
So you guys wanted to do like ground up construction.
So we were looking at land. We were meeting with builders because we loved Blue Ridge so much, and that could be a future like area for us. But we really wanted insane views. Like it has to be in Blue Ridge, Georgia. The views are so beautiful, but we couldn't find land that had water access or a view. So when we found like the aerial shot of this, it was called the Fern Valley Inn. We were like, whoa, like the name does not fit like what this place, it's like magical. They had a pool there that's been covered for the last 10 years. They put like a putt-putt deck over the pool. So all we had to do is remodel the pool.
So the pool was already there. The jacuzzi you guys got, I think it's a jacuzzi, right?
No jacuzzi yet. We have one that's above ground. But the pool is completely, like it gets sun all day long and it's engulfed in like 120-foot pine trees.
And we'll show some shots later when you shoot there. But
so that's like so we were sitting on his couch. I remember that we were sitting on his couch. We just got done walking multiple properties in Palm Springs. Everything was overpriced. Like everyone wanted all. It's like when you looked at the numbers, it was like you want.
They're not even valuing it based on their income.
This place is grossing $600K.
No P&Ls.
The name of Palm Springs. The P&Ls didn't make any sense.
The financials, and then it was so then you're just sitting there and you're saying this is maybe this won't happen here or maybe it's going to happen somewhere else, and then he saw it. I think he said on Zillow or LoopNet or something, and he showed me like wow, that's kind of unique, because like he said, there's like a putting course. It was quirky, but it looked like it had some
It was
potential.
bright red, like
Bright red, yeah.
Everything was red.
Yeah.
But the layout was crazy. I mean, it was 105,000 a room or something.
Yeah, so we bought it for 1.5.
11 cabins.
11.
Yeah. It was 11 individual cabins. I think they were asking like 175 or 18 or something. And it's funny because if you were to look at us a year ago and say this is the property we're going to acquire, you may be like a little bit like, okay, good luck with that, you know. So I think there was a little bit of
how was the interior? Like how much do you guys have to put into it? Because I've seen the cabins and they look super nice. Like how much do you guys have to put into it?
Yeah, so I think right now, bottom line, we're about $1 million into the entire thing,
including furnishing, everything. So all in, you guys are at what, 2.5 million all in basis?
Yep.
That's like a little bit over 200K a door.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then yeah, just so within 11 months. So we purchased it November 2023, October 2024, it appraised for 3.9 as is, with a stabilized value of 4.6, and we're actually on pace for that. I mean, our OpEx is actually pretty decent. I think that, you know, it may hover around there, but like we're roughly like 45%. And
so what ADR and occupancy were you guys underwriting when you first acquired it? And are you guys on target, above it? Like how is that looking versus the projections?
Yeah, so we were like mid to high hundreds, if that. Keep in mind we have one main house that is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. So that kind of skews
the ADR
and occupancy a little bit. So we were underwriting that for essentially all the cabins. And if you think about, like, we can get into this a little bit later, but we have a huge strategy around our buyout play, right? So like if you want to buy the whole place out, like you book it for a birthday party, a wedding, totally different model, and it's amazing for everything that we're doing. But regardless, we initially underwrote it roughly mid to high 100s and roughly like 50% occupancy.
Okay.
And we're hovering, I mean, the past October, November, December, we're high 200s and we're close to 60% occupancy.
So really good, on track and above.
This is our ramping. This is ramping. Yeah. So, and I think what we've also, so our background is sales tech and prospecting, building predictable income. And one of the things that we've loved about this is we can actually start to plan out our months, right? So like our first buyouts, whatever you want. Actually, that was the one thing, like they had everyone come in here today. They're like, oh man, we got to get this done. We got a buyout. This was random. The website was just up. We were sitting there.
It was all renderings. We didn't have any actual photos.
No photos of the property.
And you had a full group of
we put like a
30
buyout
people?
listing on Airbnb just and on our website, just to, if we got any inquiries, then we put it like, hey, we're gonna try to be open by this date.
How much do you charge if you want to book out the whole place?
So
this
is when we're like, we got something here. So we're sitting there and we were dealing, I mean, anytime you're going through a construction or something like this, it's just stressful, right? Like nothing's on plan. You're trying to push through and all that stuff. And we were sitting there and we're going through it, and then we see this inquiry come in, and they booked it like straight up direct, and it was $20,000, our first buyout.
For how many nights?
For 4 nights.
Okay.
And keep in mind our debt service is like 18.
So
our goal is to, how can we get a buyout a month to try to cover our debt service? That's like the goal, right? So now granted that was a high buyout rate. That's not a typical rate. However, you know, we started just, hey, let's try to.
So you guys want to push more towards that. You guys want to like book it all out. Like that's where your marketing's going, and what you guys are going to try to do.
Realistically, we only keep open the next 2 months for like individual cabins, because right now we think we have at least 1 or 2 buyouts for the next 12 months.
So
already.
our pricing management tool, it's really interesting. 40% of all of our bookings happen like within 14 days. Yeah. So half of our bookings are booked within 14 days.
Like pretty last minute.
Pretty last minute, because it's Palm Springs, LA. We're not too expensive.
So it's all pretty much local tourism. People are driving to the mountains because they want to disconnect. That's your
disconnect.
Correct. And then the other percentage that's booking farther out, they're higher prices. Obviously, our ADR is higher on that. However, it's not like the only times we're blocking like full weekends, the full time, is if let's say May, we have 2 buyouts already. We may have a conversation and say, hey, are there any events these weekends? Maybe we just open it up. So we're still navigating that a little bit, because we've increased our buyout average rate was, we were selling some for 7,500, then it was 8,500.
And far in advance, are you guys also playing around with like minimum night stays? Are you having minimum nights if it's far in advance, and maybe trying to get those longer bookings far out?
Exactly, yeah. So all weekends is going to be at least 2-night minimums for everything, for buyouts and stuff included. And that's the cool thing about, you think about like marketing, right? So we're only running like campaigns for the buyouts. Like we're only spending ad spend for buyouts.
So you're running what, Facebook ads, Instagram ads?
Yep. Instagram ads to LA, San Diego.
What's the post like? Book this weekend with your
next
friends
event,
or weddings, or
we
what
have
are you trying to get?
a really good marketing team with just showing. So like we're gonna do, what we have done is like, so for like a 30th birthday or like we have a yoga retreat actually this weekend. So anytime there's something new, like someone's using it for like a 40th birthday or a different type of, like there's like a camp, people are using it for like a field day camp situation or like a men's retreat. So every time a different kind of buyout comes in, we're getting our marketing guy to come in and then shoot and show like, this is how you can utilize a property for a wedding, this is how you can use it for a birthday. And
well, we're just using
marketing.
that sort of content to
go
promote additional, like
yeah.
What we see, we've started getting a bit more standardization around, especially like weddings too, because there's a lot of buzz around micro weddings, right? Weddings are super expensive, and a lot of times for the venue fee, you could literally get our place and the accommodation.
So is there other revenue sources that you guys have on site, like food, beverage, anything else right now, or just the cabins?
As of right now, it's accommodation. We'll start to drop some gear, so those are other ancillary revenue streams.
So you're gonna have a little store there, or?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there was a little check-in office that it used to be, and we're essentially eventually gonna have like e-bikes, like we'll have like fresh bagels from like the local market, and they'll have little trinkets like that. Refrigerator, like
beer, wine.
We're gonna try to keep it clean, because the goal of like why we have a lot of kitchens too is that most people come up there for hiking or for a little getaway. So I mean, it is wellness in a sense that we have the cold plunge and sauna, but people also want to come up there and be able to like cook for themselves.
And are you getting people throughout the week? Is there anybody that's going there and like working from there? Like what are you seeing usually? Or is this more just like a weekend getaway?
Yeah, we have desks in at least half of the units, and yeah, we'll definitely have. I mean, we have women that go out there and just do solo, like writing,
meditation.
We have a yoga hut on site, and that gets utilized like crazy. Everyone loves that just for breath work, and we work with a lot of local vendors, which is awesome. So we have a yoga retreat this weekend, and they're obviously the person running it is a yogi. But they have like local chefs that we always recommend to come in. But even if it's like someone's birthday and they do a buyout, we'll have like a list of vendors that like, hey, if you want to do like the yoga or breath work in the morning, we also partner with Pharaoh's, which is a local gym there. And so if they want to do a workout on the pickleball court, they can facilitate something like that. So we were thinking like, hey, let's do our own little gym so we can make it a full wellness kind of resort.
So obviously this is really different from the Airbnb game where you just list it and forget it, and you might be tinkering around trying to rank on Airbnb, but you're only focusing on the OTAs. What are you guys seeing in terms of like OTAs versus like now direct marketing? Like is most of it now?
Like this.
Yeah, you're gonna like this. Yeah.
Guess what our direct marketing to OTA just
70-30 direct marketing.
We're 87% direct.
Direct now. That's awesome because you're not relying on them anymore.
And the cool thing is with that
early too.
The whole guest experience has just kind of changed. Like, I don't know if you feel this, but we feel this sometimes. And like the experience on Airbnb when there is an issue, it feels like you have like this intermediary that's just it's not helpful in some sense.
And you're worrying about the reviews, so sometimes they'll blackmail you over a review, and like people literally live out of this. They'll stay in all these Airbnbs and like they'll just ask for like a refund.
You know when you're gonna get someone like their every little thing, and you know it's gonna
they haven't even checked in. Yeah,
and it could be your whole weekend that's lost. And I will tell you, one of the benefits that we like love about the commercial boutique hotel, micro resort, whatever you want to call it, space is if there's an issue with one of your cabins. Let's say, for example, the oven's out or that one doesn't have hot water. Most of the time, you will have another unit to move them to. So it's like a centralized issue, and you have 11 other cabins or 11 other units. You can move them. So that's what we love about this kind of space too, is like if
smaller refunds instead of like a $1,000 a night house where you got to refund everything. It's just 2 guests.
But if anything were to happen where the bed frame breaks or things like that, like you have flexibility to be able to like, oh, we upgraded you to this cabin, and they're so happy. Like there's so many times where we had like 2 or 3 other cabins available, and so sometimes we'll offer that like, hey, we have this other cabin that has a fireplace, that has these other amenities. And, you know, we can upcharge them, and or if there was maybe something wrong with their cabin, now they feel like they got a free upgrade.
So now that you guys have gone into hotels, I can see you guys are pretty excited about the business model and the future of this. Are you guys going to still do Airbnbs, or is your focus just like, all right, no more Airbnbs, like this is where it's at?
I have an interesting perspective. I'd love your thoughts on this. So I think personally, like investment is going to be full boutique hotels, 1,000%. I do think there's something interesting about how important it is from like an operational perspective to have scale and like these luxury types of experiences, because there's really badass Airbnbs that can operate a lot like this, and I think we still, personally, I think I see an opportunity to still work with them and help with that. I'm actually a little bit bullish
on the management side, though.
On the management
not
side.
The investment.
Yeah, on the management side, I'm also a little bullish too. Is like, I think there's a time now where if you are able to use some of the strategies that we're seeing with boutique hotels,
get them direct bookings.
How do you do that with, you know, because you may see this too. The Airbnb is really that sort of intermediary. It's not necessarily, it's not guaranteeing you income. It's not giving you control over your customers.
Yep.
Like, and I think that's something that we've been spending a lot of time thinking about. I still personally like managing some of the Airbnbs that we have is actually fun and like rewarding, and it's awesome. There's still awesome experiences, but yeah, from an investment standpoint, you can't go say, hey, we 6x revenue from what it was, and now it's worth that. And I think that's the biggest thing. Now you have commercial valuations from all the stuff that we like doing. So the operations side on Airbnb, I think still very important. I think there's still an opportunity.
Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made with all these Airbnbs, but when you're investing your own capital, the only problem with residential is you can't force appreciation.
Correct.
So any equity that you put in, it's basically tied. It's not like with the hotels where I guess this is the business plan you guys are doing is you're going to cash out, refinance, or you're kind of doing like the burst strategy, which is harder to do when you're doing residential because the value is not tied to the income, right? So you're not really building a business, and that's what I look for. It's like, how can I buy this for $1 million and then 2 or 3x the value, right? So that's the only limitation, plus regulations. We had an issue with one of our assets in Oakland Park where the city came back. They're like, you can only do 8 guests at a time, and our property was set up for 20 guests. So that cut our nightly rates and the whole business plan in half. And we looked into the regulations. It's like you can do short-term rentals, but we didn't look at the fine print on the guest count. So I guess that's another big issue.
If you were making your numbers on it and you want to sell it, the only way you'll get that valuation is if someone's buying it cash.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's the big issue, because we had a couple of our properties where they would go in, they would see the revenue, they're like, we'll pay, Then they would order an appraisal, and it's like, oh yeah, we can't pay $2 million when this is the appraisal comes at $750. So we had to find all cash buyers and investors that maybe were doing a 1031 exchange that were willing to pay more. Whereas hotels, you don't have that issue. Bank comes in and the appraisal is going to be tied to the net operating income.
Exactly.
I do think, I will say though, I think we're definitely at this time in the market now where you need experienced operators, like people that are thinking like that. Like you need people that are like, okay, this is what's worked for the past 5 years. This is not going to be the path forward. Like if you're not investing in marketing or in your presentation or in design or in looking at the listings,
amenities,
like optimizing the listings, optimizing amenities, it's the same thing as everything else. You're going to get beat. Competition's going to eat up your bookings. And I think there is an opportunity in that space with Airbnbs for sure. So I think
I call Airbnb boutique hotels, I call them commercial Airbnbs, and getting into operations, because I think this is really interesting. You guys are the Pine Tree Hotel, but tell me a little bit about the operation, because I know you guys have a lot of the Airbnb stuff in it, which is the self check-in. You guys don't have a front desk, so maybe tell me a little bit about how your operations are running and how you're maybe even more profitable than regular hotels, because you're applying a lot of the Airbnb stuff into the hotel.
Yeah, I'd say we are pretty lean. We did partner with a local team that does, so just for context, Tim and I haven't been up to the hotel in I haven't been up there, and I'm local probably in 2 months now.
Yeah.
Which is
So you're operating this fully remote.
fully remote.
Correct.
I go because I like to go. So, but for operations standpoint, we work with a local team that has luxury short-term rentals in the area. So they actually do like a walkthrough before.
Are they on salary? Is this staff?
No, they're hourly.
So you guys don't have any full-time staff?
No.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We took everything we knew from Airbnb and said, if now we have the income to kind of support this, weekly checklist, like we have the teams, right? So we got that on-site team where we needed someone that was more than just, they looked at it like an owner. Like you have some teams that like go in and it's like, like that's not my job.
So are they running like other Airbnbs or anything else in the
right
area?
down the road? Yeah. And
it's great too because with them, if we have overflow or they have overflow, we recommend to each other. So they have like upscale, like bigger cabins. So that there's been a partnership there, like, hey, we are fully booked, they pass them over to us and vice versa. But the big thing with them is like, it's little things like checking the propane, making sure the pool is clean every single day. Things
doing
like
the walkthrough,
doing the walkthrough of every cabin, make sure because if there's a large buyout, there's times where
And you said you're paying them by the hour?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And so like we have like a 20-person courtyard that people do like dinner parties, etc. kind of all together, and there's times where they all go out there and they use all the silverware in the entire property. So they'll do walkthroughs, like make sure all the forks are in every cabin, so every experience is the same. And so they'll come in before every weekend and right after every weekend, so that everything's the same for every single guest.
Automations that you guys are running, like do you guys have like noise monitoring devices? Do you have like I guess you have August or the door locks for automated check-in? Like what are you guys using at
we use remote lock and we use Yale and all of the digital.
Yeah. Cloudbeds manages a lot of the interaction, like the guest communications. We've put a lot of work into the digital app too. Mm-hmm. So like we're sending you, hey, thanks so much for your booking, Jacob.
The emails, right? I saw them.
And then so you saw some of that. So through the rebrand, all of that's going to be in the digital app. So it's like recommendations, and you're pushing them.
And who's managing guest communication?
So right now, that's the same thing that we're doing on our short-term rental portfolio. So we have VAs to help manage just
in the Philippines,
Pakistan.
Yeah. And we more or less oversee, like if we see an inquiry come in and they're asking for a buyout, we are the owners. You're
the sales guys.
We take care of all the buyouts.
Yeah, because those are top ticket,
Yeah. So we'll have someone, if I'm local, I'll try to come in person and do a walkthrough with them. Because I think it's nice to have that personal touch. And then if not, we'll have one of the team members that are on site just give them a full tour. But we have we've been playing around with a lot of the promo codes, which are fun. So we have someone coming in this Thursday and we have like a wedding promo. So they get 50% off and they can come and stay on the property to fully feel it. And then usually it'll get booked the following day.
And the good thing is we can start tracking conversions on this, like influencer promo, right? So like we're going to give 20 of those out. Like we want as many people that have like networks that are
Have you gotten any traction with influencers so far?
That's a great question. That's been one of my favorite things is so we have really good content in a sense, but we weren't growing like crazy. I think we had 1,000 or 2,000 followers when we first opened. We did 2 giveaways with 2 kind of lifestyle influencers that do like things to do in LA. And so we're 2 hours away from LA and this is kind of like a weekend getaway. I think we did 2 giveaways with our cleaning fee.
You're just giving them a night, or what else?
2-night giveaway and any time they can do it over a 30-day window. So they can pick any 2 days on this 30 days. And for us, obviously you may be losing out on $300 or $400 on the booking, but for us on an expense side, our cleaning is like $25. So we'll give them one of the studios and they get a free stay. So these influencers, they get to give value to because they're always recommending things, but they don't ever give their followers anything tangible. So they partner with us for free, just for them to stay, and then they're offering their followers a free
promo code or free stay as well?
A free stay. So they stay for free, and then it's a free stay for their followers, whoever wins the giveaway. And so these 2 giveaways that we've given away, I mean, they both had like 100,000 views.
How do you participate in the giveaway? Like, what do you need to do?
You comment. You follow the Pine Tree. You tag 2 friends, and then that's it. And then you get entered into like a kind of like a raffle kind of situation. But on like a couple of these posts, I mean, we had like 4,000 plus like comments and things.
What about bookings? Are you getting any direct bookings from these influencers?
Yeah, so we need to have we're going to start doing like an affiliate link for tracking that. But we did this giveaway during the week, and we usually don't get crazy bookings on like Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And it was just like, I think there was one day where it was like
all the cloud-based notifications,
like $15,000 in bookings or something crazy like that over like a 2-day period.
That's insane.
And on Wednesday, and that was like, this is fully from that giveaway.
I keep, because we're about to send a quarterly report, and I was like, I was like messing around with our channel distribution. It's like, oh man, our direct bookings just keep going up. It's like, it's crazy. I mean, if we get over 90%, that's just...
You mean a report for your investors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you guys did this deal. Okay, let's talk about the numbers on this with your investors. How much did you guys raise? How much did you guys put in? And what's the structure?
Yeah, so we put in like close to 100, and
100K?
then we raised 621, and the debt on it's like $2 million. So that was for construction, holding costs, all that stuff.
And was this a bridge debt, a private lender? Like, what was the debt on it?
It was, so it originally started, Isaac and I were going to try to just buy it ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we had a few properties here that we were trying to sell to come up with the capital. I think it was going to be like...
The equity.
The equity, the equity capital to put down as like a down payment, because we had a good lender out here. It was essentially going to be like a bridge debt / construction loan to do it. And then when we started doing the underwriting, just it wasn't enough. Like, there wasn't enough from them that we were going to get to actually see it through. Like, we knew that it would, like, if we would have done it with a budget of a couple $100,000, it just wouldn't have been what it is. And then what would have happened is this like subpar product wouldn't have done what it's doing. So we knew we needed to take on investment.
Because they did a LTC. Was that what that was the type of debt they got? Was...
Yeah, it was. It was essentially like a bridge loan.
It's almost like a bridge.
But they were lending for construction as well.
Correct. Yeah. So it wasn't penciling, and then it kind of got to the point where it was like, this is just going to be really tight, and it's not going to be. You have to go into these and make sure the underwriting's there to support the type of revenue, and you're not going to get the revenue if there's not cool amenities. Like, people are not going to just come to some flip motel. That's not what people are going to come to. So we knew that. So we sat back. We're like, look, I think we're going to need to raise capital. So what we did was, along with our own investment, it was we raised debt. We raised a lot of debt. So we got close to $2 million in debt. And that was from a private investor, and then we got the rest 600.
Oh, so you didn't even go to a bank?
No. So what ended up happening was we raised 621 over like a 10-day period. One of our investors saw the term sheet for our initial loan and was like, "You guys are these." So what happened with the original loan was the LOI towards the end didn't match. Like, it ended up getting a little bit switched on us about what we needed to close, and we were like, this isn't the same deal we had while we...
Yeah,
it wasn't going to work.
Now you're gonna bring double the amount.
They got us to the last... we were about to close, we were like 2 weeks from closing, and it went from this is what we talked about this entire time, and then completely switched.
Yeah.
So one of our investors saw the term sheet and was like, what if I be the private lender for the 1.5? And we were like, yeah, we can talk about
make
this.
that happen.
We can make that happen. And so we have our initial, we purchased it with one investor.
Would you guys have lost your money for the guest for?
We were still protected.
We
were still protected.
Because you had the financing contingency, mate.
We still had all the way.
We had financing, but then it was the insurance is where we almost lost the deal because we could not get fire insurance. Like, it took forever to get insurance.
We had to get private fire.
And yes, we would have lost escrow for that. Yeah. Because we were basically saying good faith, hey, we're gonna make it happen, and that was towards the end. But yeah, the deal itself went through a few. So we were originally going to go get that hard money, and then we had an investor that said, hey, we can actually beat the terms because you're getting killed on origination points, things like that. I'm happy to do that. So we did that, and then we raised the rest of the capital because we had to. I think we raised it in 30 days.
That's amazing.
And we want to be like him in the future and start doing stuff like start doing that type of lending.
Debt, you made it when you're the debt.
Yeah.
So what's next for you guys? What's the big picture here? What's the vision? Are you looking at other deals? Is there another hotel coming up next? What are you guys looking at?
I think the Pine, one of the reasons why we love the Pine Tree, and you'll see it when you get up there, is it just, man, it checks so many criteria of what we want to do out of life, right? When you go up there, you're like, man, this is where I want to have my friends and family, right?
It's all seasons all year round. You
Yeah.
have spring, you have summer up there at lake time, you have fall, and we have lilacs all over the property. And being like, if you live in LA or you're in Palm Springs, it's desert. So like, you don't have pine trees, you don't have this different landscape. So it's like a getaway for, I mean, how many million people do we have like in our, like in the area? What is the number? Like something
there's 34 million people, and this is the only place that gets snow.
within 2 hours.
Yeah.
The next one is Big Bear, which is an extra like 40.
So is that what you guys are looking at, like big cities, and then trying to find something
Drawing,
within
yeah.
hour, 2 hour drive
Yeah.
from the main hub?
There's places like this, people want to get away, people want to disconnect with your friends and family. I feel like wellness boom is, I mean, that's not going anywhere. And I think people, especially our age too, like, obviously you want to go to places.
Disconnect.
You kind of want like that real time, right? Like, there's nothing better than just being out on the pickleball court till 8, and then you're, it's the last game. Like, we were doing that this morning. So we want to do more projects like that. And we're not agnostic to certain like, we picked this market because it was so close to LA, so close to San Diego. The fundamentals made sense.
So you guys were specifically looking in, and I always trip up, it's Idlewild. You guys were looking there,
We're
or
looking
you
in Palm Springs.
No, and
in the search field to grab that
Correct.
property?
Yeah.
And our whole team, we've done, like I said, 15 projects in this area. So we were like, hey, we asked our guys, we're like, hey, would you guys go up the mountain? It's an hour away. And it was easy instead of doing a new build in Georgia. So all these new different things, we were like, we have something so close to where we've had our business, and it filters to each other, because like, we're at a boutique hotel right now in Palm Springs. Like, for Coachella and all these big things, it's a good reset to go up there in between those. So we'll be able to filter with Terra up there for 2 completely different styles as you're going to see tomorrow within an hour.
Yeah.
So
it's more of these. I think like experiential hospitality, wellness aspects, and that group communal like buyout strategy matters a ton. And I don't, I know I'm glad to hear they're doing it, but like there's a need for that, and I think that's really where we're looking to.
And we do like separate units. Like, we like boutique hotels. Like, we're not opposed to them.
So you guys want to keep doing cabins?
Not necessarily cabins, but like bungalows, or if they have at least some type of outside area with a little like kitchenette, like versus just standard rooms.
What about glampings? Is that part of the
We
strategy?
haven't really looked into it. In Blue Ridge, there's a company there that is doing amazing.
Marriott just made some crazy acquisition, and I was like, oh, well, maybe we should look at glamping.
Yeah.
I like the model. I mean, your cost is so low. You can build some. I mean, it's really cool. I think it's all about sort of investment and financing too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think we did this project because it's a lot easier to say, hey, we have this property. It's real. It's there.
It's not like your like bubble, like those
Airbnb,
plastic bubbles from China that you could like just like poke a hole in it, and it's like, you just lent me $3 million on this.
Exactly.
It's so unfortunate, like that we were talking about Airbnb several times. Is even if you have a performing property, it's still hypothetical, like to most buyers. Like, they can't get appraisal for it.
Yeah.
So that's why we like. I mean, even with glamping, I don't know too much about that, but it's like, where is it just land in the business versus actual structures? Because they're not really structures.
You can move them.
You can move them, so it's just a whole different business.
I think it's a good play. I mean, I think you're always trying, like what they did with the rain shower room. I mean, you're always trying to think, how am I creative? You don't necessarily even need to be better. Like, how can you be different, right? So I think there's a ton of opportunity. I know for us, it's around like smaller boutique experiences. You're gonna have some form of, okay, if it's pickleball or volleyball, or like, there's gonna be something where you can, congregate, and then it needs to have versatility. So you need to be able to host a wedding there, or micro wedding, or like host a birthday
Different
party.
sources of revenue.
Correct, yeah. And then obviously it needs to fit the market, right? Like, they did a great job. They have like a nice open bar over there. The vibe here fits Palm Springs. We're not going to do that up in Idlewild.
Right.
But it's like, are you the venue, or because we can create a whole event business that just utilizes our property as, like, if we wanted to really push that. Because right now it's like, hey, you can just be the venue and we're just if one of us wanted to, probably have a full-time job and just fully like
Just the sales.
do sales, it's like endless. Like we'll probably end up having a full-on salesperson because it's going to be it would be so easy to go out. There's so many gyms that just want to have either something an offsite for either their actual members or for the employees that work there. And this is just a unique space. Like there's just nothing within this space that's even remotely close that you could sleep that many people.
Man, I love that.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up here, how can people connect with you guys?
Yeah.
I mean, so LinkedIn, you can hit me at Tim Ensman. I'm right on LinkedIn. Instagram, it's my name, Tim_Ensman. And then Tim or Isaac at Second Home Stays is probably
Yeah.
You guys make a great partnership. You even know his social media and everything. You don't even need to say it, man.
No. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hey,
on.
this has been awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, brother.
That was awesome.